Welcome to This Explainer. If you've ever stood right in the middle of a grocery store aisle, just staring at the shelves, and feeling completely paralyzed by all the conflicting health claims, well, you are absolutely not alone. Eating is literally the most basic of all human activities, yet somehow we've managed to make it incredibly complicated. We are constantly bombarded by government advisories, crazy fad diet books, and this massive nutritional industrial complex that actually thrives on our confusion. But today, we're going to clear the noise. We are diving into the foundational wisdom from Michael Pollan's Food Rules, and I promise you, we are going to chart a highly structured, profoundly common-sense escape route from the modern nutrition trap. Just think about the chaotic noise of diet culture for a second. Should we worry more about fats or carbs? It's the exact kind of anxiety-inducing question that haunts our grocery trips, right? For decades, we've been bouncing back and forth in this crazy nutritional tug of war. We demonize fats, so the food industry immediately pumps their products full of sugar to compensate. Then we gain weight, so we suddenly pivot and declare carbohydrates the ultimate enemy. It is an endless, exhausting cycle. And then we stack on even more questions. What about gluten? What about omega-3s? Suddenly, we aren't even looking at the actual food on our plates anymore. We're looking right through it, viewing our meals merely as this confusing delivery system for invisible biochemicals. We start obsessing over the exact ratios of polyphenols, probiotics, and folic acid. Honestly, when did eating a simple breakfast become a complicated therapeutic procedure? And just when you think you've finally got it all figured out, you're hit with one final overwhelming question as you try to pick a beverage. Are artificial sweeteners safe? Is deceiving your brain with fake sweetness actually worse for you than just eating sugar? Look, this confusion is great for food marketers who can constantly re-engineer and relabel their products, but it is terrible for us. Okay, let's dive into this, because beneath all this biochemical baggage, there are a couple of stark, undisputed facts we really need to face. Here is a wild number for you: 80%. Despite our modern obsession with micronutrients, populations that eat a highly processed Western diet, a diet full of refined grains, added sugars, and processed meats, they invariably get sick. In fact, departing from this diet could reduce the chances of coronary heart disease by an astonishing 80%. That's massive. This exact same Western diet is linked to virtually all type 2 diabetes and more than a third of all cancers. The diet itself, for whatever reason, is the problem. So how do we get off this dangerous path without needing a PhD in biochemistry? Well, after years of researching the deepest, most complex thickets of nutritional science, Michael Pollan realized the ultimate answer is actually profoundly simple. It's just 7 words. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. That's it. It is the ultimate conspiratorial sigh of relief. It's an incredibly simple antidote to an incredibly complicated industry. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these 3 simple pillars provide the exact roadmap for the rest of our explainer today. 1. Eat food. 2. Mostly plants. 3. Not too much. Part 1. Eat food. Filtering out the noise in the modern supermarket. Now that first pillar, eat food, sounds almost ridiculously simple, right? Like, what else would we eat? But the reality is that simply finding real food in today's grocery store is actually a lot harder than it sounds. Get this, roughly 17,000 new products hit supermarket shelves every single year. 17,000. All of them are fighting for your attention and, of course, your wallet. The modern supermarket is essentially a battlefield, and a huge chunk of what you're looking at in those middle aisles doesn't even deserve to be called food. Pollan actually has a very specific term for the enemy here: edible, food-like substances. These aren't foods at all. They are highly processed industrial novelties. They're concoctions designed in laboratories by food scientists, usually utilizing tiny fractions of heavily subsidized crops like corn and soy. Their entire purpose is to literally push our evolutionary buttons, our hardwired cravings for salt, fat, and sweetness in ways that real nature never, ever intended. So the absolutely crucial point here is knowing how to vividly contrast these 2 categories. Real food is alive, and because it's alive, it will eventually rot. It grows in nature, and you generally find it hanging out on the outer walls of the supermarket, right? The produce, the dairy, the fresh fish. Food-like substances, on the other hand, possess this creepy, immortal shelf life. They live in the center aisles, they have ingredient lists that are a mile long, and they usually require a multi-million-dollar TV commercial to convince you that they're healthy. To help you navigate this maze, Pollan curated a brilliant list of algorithms for the grocery aisle. First up, the great-grandma rule. If your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize a portable neon-colored tube of yogurt as food, don't buy it. Second, the third-grader rule. If a third-grader can't pronounce the chemical additives on the ingredients label, keep it out of your cart. And third, the cereal milk rule. Don't eat breakfast cereals that change the color of the milk. It's a dead giveaway of heavy processing and artificial dyes. Oh, and we absolutely can't forget this incredibly practical rule, the gas station rule. Don't get your fuel from the same place your car does. Gas stations today have basically become processed corn stations. Think about it. You go outside to pump ethanol derived from corn into your car, and then you walk inside to buy snacks loaded with high-fructose corn syrup to pump into yourself. If you stick to the rule of never buying your food where you buy your gas, you automatically dodge a massive bullet of processed junk. Let's move to part 2 and see how this builds. Mostly plants, navigating the produce section, and beyond. So now that we know how to aggressively filter out what to avoid, we need to shift our focus to what we should actively be choosing for our plates. There's this ancient Chinese proverb that serves as an amazing, memorable mnemonic for building your meals based entirely on the number of legs your food has. Things that stand on one leg, like mushrooms and plants, should be the absolute foundation of your diet. They are the best. Things on 2 legs, like fowl, are better. And things on 4 legs, like cows and pigs, are good but should really be eaten in strict moderation. Basically, the fewer the legs, the better it is for you. Let's look at some daily protocols to actually make this work in real life. First, treat meat as a flavoring or a side dish rather than the giant 8-ounce main event. It effortlessly lowers your overall calorie intake. Second, eat your colors. The vibrant colors in vegetables actually reflect different protective phytochemicals. So a colorful plate literally means diverse protection against chronic diseases. And third, drink the spinach water. I know it sounds weird, but the water you use to boil vegetables is rich in vitamins. Save it for your soups or sauces instead of pouring all those amazing nutrients right down the drain.
Part 3, Not Too Much, Transforming Our Daily Relationship with Eating.
And this brilliantly illustrates our final pillar. Because the true secret behind the health of traditional cultures is that how you eat is just as important as what you eat. One of the absolute best habits you can adopt is the Japanese concept of hara hachi bu, which advises you to consult your gut and stop eating when you are 80% full. In America, we typically eat until we are completely uncomfortably stuffed, heavily relying on external visual cues, like totally clearing our plate. But get this, it takes 20 whole minutes for your brain to realize your stomach is full. By stopping at 80%, you give your body the time to catch up without overconsuming. This rule ties directly into the economic law of diminishing marginal utility. The banquet is in the first bite. Think about it. No subsequent bite of a meal will ever taste as incredible as that very first bite. If you slow down, chew your food thoroughly, and truly savor that first taste, you're going to extract maximum pleasure from the experience. You won't need to consume massive, heavy quantities of calories just to constantly chase that initial feeling of satisfaction. Now, to foster this healthy relationship with food, you need some actionable, everyday moderation habits. First, eat at a table, never at a desk or in front of the TV. Mindless grazing leads to massive overeating for sure. Second, cook for yourself. It is literally the only sure way to take back control of your portions and ingredients from massive corporations. And if you need a handy structural rule, try the S policy. No snacks, no sweets, and no seconds. Except on days that start with S: Saturday, Sunday, and special occasions. But here is a real breath of fresh air. You should absolutely break the rules once in a while. Seriously, obsessing over nutritional rules and living in a constant state of dietary anxiety is actually terrible for your health and happiness. It is perfectly fine to indulge in a slice of cake or some French fries as long as you genuinely treat them as true special occasions and not as your default daily habit. All things in moderation, including moderation itself. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a direct challenge. The very next time you sit down to eat, look down at your plate and ask yourself, does this pass the 7-word test? Are you eating real food? Are you eating not too much of it? And is it mostly plants? By keeping this simple, powerful framework in the back of your mind, you can finally escape all that confusing noise of diet culture and start truly enjoying what sustains you. Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer and enjoy your next real meal.